Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Josh Poet with you here for First Contact Radio. Hope you're doing well. Let's jump into today's date right away. We're at the beginning of a new wave spell now. Yesterday was a 13-tone day. Today we're back at the beginning, a one-tone day. Today's an eagle, and the color for today is blue. And on one-tone days, we know that the guides are also the same as the daykin, so therefore the guide is the eagle, same as today. So today, our name for the day is Blue Magnetic Eagle, guided by the eagle. The phrase is, I unify in order to create attracting mind. I seal the output of vision. With the magnetic tone of purpose, I am guided by my own power doubled. So in this situation, the blue is the color of transformation, the magnetic tone of attraction, and then the blue eagle. The eagle is all about vision. On the Gregorian calendar, it is Tuesday, August 16th, 2011. And astrologically, we are still in the sign of Leo. So we're moving right along. It's the 22nd day of the magnetic moon. So we've got 6 more days left, and then we move in the dream spell calendar to the next month, or the next moon. Alright, that catches you up with information for the moment. Dirk Bradshaw has a story about Nibiru. So let's get on to hear what Dirk has to say. Dirk, over to you.
Flying high above the planet Earth, this is the Cosmic News with Dirk Bradshaw.
Hello, I'd like to order french fries, a burger, and a milkshake. This is a library. I'd like to order french fries, a burger, and a milkshake.
We return to the Cosmic News with Dirk Bradshaw.
Hey there, boys and girls, children of all ages. It is time for the Cosmic News with Dirk Bradshaw. I am Dirk Bradshaw, and tonight, I've always had a problem with those people who believe that it's unpatriotic to ever question whether or not your government is telling you everything you need to know. We know for a fact that the government lies to us all the time, and sometimes about very important issues. So I ask you, have you heard about the planet Nibiru and its collision with the planet Earth? No? Well, exactly. There are many who believe that this collision will take place in the early 21st century. Right now, believers in this doomsday event usually refer to this object as Planet X. Many believers in the imminent approach of Planet X accuse NASA of deliberately covering up visual evidence of its existence. One such accusation involves the IRAS, the Infrared Space Observatory, launched in 1983. The satellite briefly made headlines due to an unknown object that was first described as possibly as large as the giant planet Jupiter, and possibly so close to Earth that it would be part of this solar system. So, could this be planet Nibiru? And is it headed for a collision course with Earth? And why is NASA covering all of this up? Well, you're definitely going to want to stay tuned so you can hear all of this information for yourself. Then we want you to go ahead and research it. And of course, finally, think for yourself. Because here at this news network, I think we're the only one who wants you to think for yourself, because here at the Cosmic News, we encourage that kind of behavior.
For the discovery of a Planet X. I heard the Japanese found something.
That's correct. Recently in 2008, a lead astronomer by the name of Takashi Mukai, Dr. Mukai at the Kobe University in Japan, plotted the diameter of a planet between 4 to 8 times the size of Earth on a highly elliptical orbit, which is very similar to the ancient Sumerian descriptions of a Nibiru, a 4 to 8 times the size of Earth planet, a body within our own solar system. So it's a very interesting academic awareness to all of a sudden put on the radar the idea of a Planet X, once again confirming the ancient knowledge.
So, how long have we been looking for a Planet X?
The current model for a search for a 10th planet within our solar system goes all the way back to the time of Percival Lowell. But on the modern radar, it really started in the late 80s with the Dr. Robert Harrington, who was the lead astronomer of the Naval Observatory in Washington. And he plotted a planet that would be in the southern ecliptic plane and be on a highly elliptic orbit and very much closely matched Zacharias Sitchin's model of looking at the Sumerian texts which discuss Nibiru, which translates into planet of the crossing. Nibiru was also a planet on a highly elliptical orbit. Zacharias Sitchin met with Dr. Harrington at NASA, and they discussed the orbital calculations of how Nibiru's orbit, described by the Sumerians, very closely matched Dr. Harrington's planetary model for a 10th planet. So ever since the late 80s, astronomical advances in imaging in space and using infrared technology in space to penetrate the deep cold barriers of space,
yes,
they've started to image planets and find things that we now call brown dwarfs or extrasolar planets, planets around other suns. So it's becoming very possible that we're starting to grasp the idea that there could be a yet undetected another member of our solar system that we would call the 10th planet. Now, all these other little ones like Sedna, Quoar, those don't count. What we're looking for is something extremely large, 4 to 8 times the size of Earth.
Very interesting. So what is so important about a Planet X?
Well, the interesting points about Planet X are, we have all these stories in the Bible of how there was a great flood, or we hear these things of, wormwood or Armageddon in biblical references, and people immediately jump to the story of Nibiru, this ancient Sumerian text, which describes how a planet within our solar system, which became gravitationally attached to these inner planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, it eventually crossed paths with our primitive Earth and caused what we now today have is the asteroid belt and this big gap between Mars and Jupiter. Between Mars and Jupiter, where the asteroid belt is, this large gap is just enough room for a planet to have once existed. So all type of theories abound are, where did it go? Is this planet, was it ever possible? So the idea of a Planet X means a 10th member, something beyond Pluto, which would, represent 10, but X also means unknown. Yet we still haven't discovered or have scientifically confirmed that this planet exists. However, if it does, and it's 4 to 8 times the size of Earth, we're talking about confirming ancient biblical information from a culture that's 6,000 years old and describes beings which come from this planet. We call it heaven, they've called it Nibiru, but if beings actually exist on this planet, the Anunnaki, we have ancestors on another planet.
So Jason, could Planet X have killed the dinosaurs, and what is the Nemesis theory?
Well, interestingly enough, Hubble, one of the latest telescopes that we use to image, things in space, has pointed out that most solar systems, external solar systems, not our own, that we image in space, have found out to be binary. They contain 2 suns. So it seems to standard that maybe our solar system is in fact a binary solar system. We have 2 suns. So this theory goes on to the terms of someone by the name of Dr. Richard Mueller, who postulated a thesis, said Nemesis, that there's this other planet that orbits our second sun. So we have a binary solar system in theory, and our second sun would be a failed sun, a brown dwarf, meaning our sun now is active, and we have another second sun that's not active anymore. It's a brown dwarf. And this planet, Dr. Mueller from Berkeley theorizes, has an additional planet which orbits it. He calls it Nemesis. And he theorized that this planet's orbit around our failed sun would periodically dislodge comets from the Oort cloud, which is a very far out debris of kind of like the asteroid belt, but much further out, billions of miles. And this occasional orbit would send debris to the inner part of the solar system, comets, asteroids, and these are the things, fragments and relevant pieces are thought to have been what maybe have caused the dinosaur extinction. These dislodged Oort cloud debris being sent into the inner solar system by Nemesis.
So, how do astronomers go about looking for Planet X, and who are these people?
One of the latest telescopes that they've deployed is called Space Infrared Telescope Facility, SIRTIF. It's actually just renamed to Spitzer after a famous astronomer. So Spitzer is one of the latest telescopes that they keep below freezing temperatures, super cooled in space. And what it's able to do is penetrate these deep layers of dust and debris, where once before they couldn't see through it, but using infrared, they can match the temperature of these dust clouds and create like an invisible veil to go right through them and see much more vast details of space, planets, extrasolar planets. So what the latest devices are basically using infrared telescopes and astronomical observatories, which they're going to keep below freezing out in space to do these deep space observations.
Wow, yeah. Was a lot of ancient knowledge recorded about a Planet X?
The very first culture that we have record of on Earth is the Sumerian culture. It's been known as Mesopotamia, Babylon, but initially 6,000 years ago, 3800 BC to be exact, Sumer arose. They had over 100 of the first for a civilization to take place. They invented things like mathematics, science, kingship, courts, laws, judges, education, writing. So one of the more esoteric aspects of the Sumerian legacy of information from 6,000 years ago is their astronomical data. They included all the knowledge of the planets in our solar system, the distance between the planets, what these planets look like in space. Their model contained an additional planet, which they called Nibiru. Zecharia Sitchin wrote a book called The 12th Planet in 1976, which chronicles the idea that the Sumerians were aware of the 9 planets we know of, plus the Sun, our Moon, and this additional planet, Nibiru, making the 12th planet. So some of the very interesting information about Planet X that's ancient knowledge comes to us in the form of religious texts. For instance, the idea of the Great Flood. There's an actual Sumerian stone tablet. It's a form of cuneiform script, written language from 6,000 years ago, and it's done in a stone. They did it in clay and then would fire it up in a stove, making it into stone. So there are these stone tablets, for instance, from Sumer that describe when Nibiru became part of our inner solar system and the gravitational effects it caused when it passed by Earth caused one of the great ice sheets in Antarctica to crack off and instantly rose the water levels of the Earth by 300 feet. This is the idea of a great flood. Many of the stories in biblical form, which we have in Genesis or in today's modern biblical tales, there's a Sumerian derivative that's in stone, unchanged from thousands of years ago. So the ancient knowledge about a Planet X really starts to raise the eyebrows of attention when we can put 2 and 2 together and see that there's a correlation between these ancient stories of a great flood or the giants upon the earth. Who are these great beings that were here? Were they physical giants? Well, the Sumerians describe beings they lived amongst that came from Nibiru. They called them the Anunnaki, and Anunnaki simply means those who from heaven come to earth.
How can these ancient Sumerians know so much, and who taught them?
The Sumerians say that everything they know they were taught by the Anunnaki. The term Anunnaki means those who from heaven come to earth. And the Sumerians left us thousands of these stone tablets which recorded their daily events of just basic everyday transactions between, here's some wheat and barley for a donkey, or education, systems of courts, laws, and judges. But they also recorded their daily events and interactions with these beings, which they called the Anunnaki. Now, in the Bible, we hear about the giants upon the earth. We lived amongst the giants upon the earth. There was a time when there were giants upon the earth. So these Sumerians speak of the Anunnaki in the same instance, but 2,000 years removed from the time of Christianity as living amongst their living gods.
So Jason, will Planet X be returning in 2012, and will it cause any global effects as it has in the past?
The only culture to use 2012 as a reference to a timeline of catastrophe, Armageddon, are the Mayans. But what they did is they had a prediction in a Baktun of one of their long count calendars. Now they had several Baktuns, predictions on this long count calendar, which was separate from the traditional calendar system they used to measure time. These were more of predictions made over, just thousands of years, and these weren't always accurate. No one can tell the future, not including the Mayans. One of these predictions in the past on their Baktuns stated that their god Kukulkan was going to return. The same date of a predicted arrival of Kukulkan, the conquistadors showed up and aggressively converted all the Mayans to Christianity.
Oh, man, I can't believe it's over. Where does the time go? Well, I see the fat lady's off the stage. She's looking right at me. It's time for me to go put her to bed. I hate goodbyes. So instead I'm going to say, until we meet again, I'm Dirk Bradshaw for the Cosmic News. Wake up.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of people.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw a UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear, take a look. Illuminati lies keep growing. What they're losing from your eyes. And wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What would our founding fathers say if they were alive today? Must be turning in their graves. Redcoats are coming, Big Brother's watching. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. One if by land and two if by sea, and I on the opposite shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. When a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. This is Josh, and this is the UFO News for today. Several stories. First one comes to us from New York City. New York City. It says night vision, UFO ovni, strange night skies. Let's take a good close-up look at this. All right. Alright, as you can see here in the video, there are multiple UFOs flying up here in the sky. There's a bigger one coming across from left to right. So what exactly are all of these things? Well, not quite certain, but they are moving around and there's a lot of them. Now, some of these smaller ones, I'm not exactly sure what they are. I can't really speculate in this regard. Although you're seeing the same thing I'm seeing, right? You're seeing the same thing I'm seeing, right? Right now we got the big bright white light and got all the little lights around it. Some of them might be stars. They don't look like they're moving, but there are other things that do look like they are moving around just as much as the other one. Pretty fascinating indeed. Pretty fascinating indeed. So that was over New York City. Let's see. It doesn't have any other. Said this was a new video of UFO activity in the sky above New York City of the United States taken earlier this month, August 2011. All right, let's move on to the next story here. This one took place over North Hollywood, California, and it happened on Saturday. It said UFO sighting, this daytime UFO footage of some kind of boomerang-shaped bright object hovering in the sky above North Hollywood in California was recorded on Saturday the 13th of August around 4:30 p.m. Let's take a good look at what this is all about here. Okay, we got, as you can see over here to the right side of the image, making a circle around it with my mouse here. A very interesting looking object up there. It does move. Most interesting indeed. Yeah, it is kind of a strange image that's moving around, and there is an additional orb that is up there. And now the object itself looks just like an orb. So we can move forward a little bit. Now it's kind of spread out again. Looks like it's folded itself. It's kind of a strange looking object, as you can see. It just kind of takes on a variety of different shapes. Is this possibly just some debris floating in the air? I don't know. I don't know, but if you have any suggestions, thoughts, or ideas about what it is, firstcontactradio@yahoo.com is the place to let us know. Alright. Moving right along from here. Says more UFOs over Cottard. This comes to us from HertfordShireMercury.co.uk by Ciaran Gold. A national radio travel broadcaster has come out saying that she saw something inexplicable in the sky of Cottard the day after a BBC reporter spotted an object. Last Thursday, August 4th, the day after reporter Mike Sewell told Radio 5 live listeners about his encounter, Heart Radio's Joanne Webb, who lives outside Cottard, told her story on presenter Jamie Theakston's breakfast show. Describing an incident that happened one morning at 4 a.m. on her way to work, the 35-year-old said, "A few weeks ago I saw this ball of light. It was bright white until I instantly thought it was shooting star. But it was so low it was like someone fired a firework completely horizontally in front of my car and then it just disappeared." Joanna added that her house was on the flight path in Lytton and that her work behind the house in Buttermilk Farm, where a crane is installing an anaerobic digester, may have been the cause of the strange phenomena. Host James asked if she had been drinking. Joanne told the Mercury, "All my colleagues have been taking the mickey and thinking I made this up for effect. I think only my mum believes me, and all of this is most bizarre." So there you have it, UFO reporting and BBC. People think she's strange, but she knows what she saw. All right. UFO sightings increase worldwide with massive exodus to Bulgark underway. Stonefield Beach, Oregon. All roads leads to Stonefield Beach for the mid-August UFO sightings. Well over in France, there's a movement now going on with aliens at a village and a mountain called Bulgark. A tide of New Agers, and UFO fanatics from across the globe is descending upon Bulgark. They are convinced that the tiny village in southern France is the only place they will be saved from Armageddon, which they will believe will take place in 2012, reported European Journal August 14th. Meanwhile, others here in Stonefield Beach, where there's been a lot of action in the heavens, the view on Bugark is mixed due to the partial disclosure of its significance in recently declassified UFO documents from both the French and British governments. Overall, worldwide UFO files remain mostly under wraps, and this will continue until WikiLeaks and other groupings of secret UFO documents are released to the public, states ufology expert here at Stonefield. Says here, goes on to say that aliens are already here. In the years since the French made their top secret UFO files public, more European nations have declassified documents, but the majority remain tight-lipped, with a few refusing to even acknowledge the phenomena, stated an expert reporting from Bugark, France, where hundreds of UFO watchers are both visiting and even deciding to live there based on real evidence that alien life is flourishing in the remote area of southern France. Okay. And here we have more footage, looks like, from Google Earth, posted on Google Earth, titled Looking into Ogden, Utah, United States. Alright, let's see what the viewer picked up here. Now there is an object up in the sky, as you can see, actually a couple of objects. Now look at that one there. That's not your normal looking bird there, is it? And to get a closer up look at it, it definitely is something very intriguing. Okay, and kind of looks bird-like, kind of. Most interesting indeed, and most interesting for those who are seeing this. And then they did a color analysis on it as well, just to kind of check heat signatures and patterns to see if this might help understand a little bit more what it is. Alright, so you can check that out on your own. It's firstcontactradio.com, right hand side, UFO News. And our last bit of information here comes to us from, well, it comes to us all the way from the moon. And this is Alien Moon Structure, NASA Frame 126. Now there's been a number of these coming out as we've been talking about some of them. NASA's been releasing these photos, and people are taking them, checking them out, looking at them in depth, and finding things on the surface of the moon. Let's take a look and see what this one is here. Alright, this is Lunar Orbiter number 126. And you can see this is a strange looking structure for being up there. We see a straight line across here. And you can see here this looks like a long rectangular so that doesn't really look normal. Okay, zip the head here again. Look at this one, and here we go. Now we got another version of it, and it looks like something giving off quite a shadow, or definitely some sort of walkway. Okay. Alright, that's our UFO news for today. You can see a lot of strange things on this planet, above the planet, and on the moon itself. So, lots to look at, lots to think about. I'm going to jump to a song. I'll be right back. We're going to continue on with the show. Those of you at Blog Talk, this is where we sign off, but you can go catch the rest of the show at firstcontactradio.com. Stay tuned, folks. I'll be back in just a few moments. Here we go.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Underground is where they live. know where they come from or where they go. And if you ask our leaders today, this is what they will say. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. What's up with their lives? Plausible deniability. That's their answer to all we think we see. So pay attention. Read between the lines. Changes are happening, revealing lies. And if you ask our leaders today, this is what they will say. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. What's up with
their lies? What's up with their lies, my friends? What's up with their lies? All right. Moving right along here. Our next news story, well, we're going to start off with nuclear problems. Nuclear problems, yes, they are still going on in the world. They haven't ended, and they continue to expand. This one here comes to us about a problem in Florida. That's right, my friends, I said Florida. Florida Power and Light employees heard a loud bang Thursday, August 11, 2011, at the utility's Turkey Point nuclear plant near Miami, when a large valve carrying water unexpectedly closed, turning off a cooling system for one of the reactors, according to a Nuclear Regulatory Commission report on the incident. FPL employees followed their procedures, immediately opening one of the two backing valves to fix the issue within 20 minutes, said FPL spokesman Mike Waldron. The situation did not impact our ability to operate safely, he wrote in an email. The noise was caused by the 2 feet wide valve closing. Federal regulators say they haven't determined the safety significance of the incident yet, but NRC spokesman Jerry Ledford said he doesn't think all will be considered serious because they didn't shut down the reactor, as nuclear operators often do on the safe side when problems arise. Ledford said the system cools important equipment, and it's a concern when the component cooling water system is not working. We are very closely observing the repair effects, and we're looking into this in depth to see if there's a need for regulatory action. Okay, so now we've got nuclear power plants in Florida, in addition to the ones that I've already talked about in Virginia, New Jersey, Nebraska, and of course New Mexico. A lot of problems, folks. A lot of problems. And Arne Gunderson's online today. You can find video of him talking about nuclear problems and plant that they want to do. I think they want to build in Alabama. So we definitely need to pay attention to the nuclear problems because they are escalating. And don't you think it's weird that all these problems are happening? They seem to be the same problems all around. The cooling systems are going. Something's not making sense, my friends. Something is not making sense. Now, our next story is actually a message from Anonymous. And I'm going to play this because you may have heard about them recently after BART decided that they were going to, in their infinite wisdom, shut down the cell phone in the area on, what was it, last week, so that the protest could not go on. Well, that's not really right, but they decided to do that, so Anonymous took it in their hands to remedy the situation. And the other day they shut down the BART site for about 6 hours, twice as long as they had commuters down, and they also had a protest the other day. Now, here is a message going out from Anonymous. Let's listen to what this message is all about.
This is a message going out to you, the holders. We are anonymous. You know who you are. The men behind the curtain. the overlord pulling at the strings of your puppets. You hide and you plan and you scheme in the dark alleys, in the vehement anticipation that your draconic plans will come to fruition. The dreams of 1,000 men crystallized in one moment that approaches with every hour that passes. The time is upon us. You know this. You have prepared. Perhaps you have concluded that the path you have set in motion will be the blueprint for events to come. In this you are probably correct. You have shaped the earth in your image. Shaped its people, its customs, its morals. In your eyes the control is complete, your contrivance beyond absolute. The wheels of your hellion machination thundering close. You have poisoned and corrupted this world, turning its people into willing slaves for your own gain. Mass murder, torture, perjury, embezzlement, fraud, deception, treason. These are just a few of your many crimes against humanity. You see yourselves as a higher order, that rules are a concept to which you are foreign. You are mistaken. As you have watched and conspired over the eons, we have watched. As you have pillaged and murdered and brainwashed, we have watched. As you have turned this world into a burning heath, we have watched. And we have waited. We have waited too long. Gone is the time for words and diplomacy. Gone is the time for dismissal and compromise. Your undisputed tyranny over the people must come to an end. Anonymous has decided that you will no longer be in control. You will crumble, your proud society a fragment of its apothegmatic wealth. You are cowards, and Anonymous will show the world for what you are. This is your only portent. You have forced our hand, and the call has been made. The drums of war sound, and we will meet in battle. We will strike hard, fast, and without mercy. You will not win this war, for you are fighting the very essence of humanity. It is everlasting and its fury can no longer be contained. We are anonymous. We are many. We do not forgive, we do not forget. We are legion, and we will be victorious.
Alright, message from Anonymous, New World Order. There you have it. There you have it. Now let's jump from there to Ron Paul. Listen to what he has to say. This is his weekly talk. We play it every week, and let's see and get ourselves updated now.
Politicians did not get much time to pat themselves on the back for supposedly rescuing the economy with the debt limit deal last week. The ink was barely dry when Standard & Poor's downgraded the U.S. debt ratings anyway, roiling world financial markets. Anyone who has taken an honest look at the government's fiscal situation, taken into account how Washington works and the direction it's going, would have had a very difficult time arguing with Standard & Poor's decision, although a strong case can be made that this was too incremental a downgrade and that it took far too long for S&P to admit the obvious. Nonetheless, the administration nitpicked over a $2 trillion so-called mistake. S&P rejoined with the fact that $2 trillion here or there hardly makes a difference in the time frame under discussion. That, if nothing else, should tell you the magnitude of the problem. $2 trillion has become a drop in the bucket. S&P cited Congress's inability to act like grown-ups and make necessary meaningful cuts, which is true. I must take issue, however, with the suggestion that tax increases are part of the answer. Taking capital gain out of the private sector where it can create real value in the form of new jobs and products, and instead giving it to Washington to waste and squander is not the solution. Tax increases may seem penny-wise to some, but in reality they would be very pound-foolish. The government currently takes in $2.2 trillion in taxes per year, which is far too much already. It spends $3.7 trillion, which is ridiculous and criminal. The problem is runaway government spending, not the American people having too much money. And yet, we can't even have a serious discussion about bringing our troops home and ending our expensive occupations around the world, things the president used to claim to favor. Even without this downgrade, major investors are waking up to what lies down the road for the United States in fiscal terms. China is showing more signs of losing its taste for our debt. Others are following suit. What we are about to see is the end of the dollar as the reserve currency of the world. When that happens, we will no longer be in a position to have to pretend debates about things we probably should spend a little bit less on. We will be forced to implement serious spending cuts as our sources of credit dry up. Of course, we can try to postpone the day of reckoning by printing more money, but the resulting inflation tax will be far worse than a reduction in government benefits. Hyperinflation devastates the middle class. After Weimar Germany hyperinflated their currency in the 1920s, and entire life savings couldn't buy a postage stamps. The bank wouldn't even send customers a check for all the money they had saved their whole life. It wasn't worth the paper it was printed on or the stamp to send it. This is what it is meant. What is meant when it is said that the middle class gets wiped out. The pieces for this to happen here are falling into place and have since 1971. The only way to avoid the sort of chaos now is for Congress to immediately reduce federal spending and take the Constitution seriously again. The welfare, warfare state will end either way, but winding it down responsibly is a far better way to do it. Thanks for calling this update. A new update is placed on this number, 888-322-1414, every Monday. The written text can be found on my website, www.house.gov/Paul, under the heading Texas Straight Talk. Thanks for calling.
All right, very good indeed. All right, so let's see what we're going to move around. Okay, I want to show you something that you can find yourself. Now, go to foxnews.com. Foxnews.com. Okay, you go there first. And then from Fox News' website, you're going to scroll over to the right. And you see the little link here that says on air, right? Click on that. And it opens up a little bar along the bottom here. And you see the little arrow so you can scroll to the right. And you go to America's Newsroom. Click on that. Click on America's Newsroom. Now we're still at Fox News. This is one of their programs on the show. We don't need to watch the video, so you can just turn that off. Scroll to the right and down, and you're going to see here a poll. America's Newsroom poll. Who's the Republican frontrunner? Click on View Results. Well, Michelle Bachmann her name is listed up at the top with 1,226 votes. That's 4.68% of the total votes. Next, you got Ron Paul. 19,435 votes. 74% of the poll. And then you've got Rick Perry, who's at 17.34% at only 4,543 votes. Followed by Mitt Romney at 676 votes, 2.5%, 58%. So the order here, and they've got this out of order, the order here is Ron Paul is in first by an overwhelming margin, 74% of the vote. The next closest one to Ron Paul is Rick Perry. However, Rick Perry is 15,000 votes less than Ron Paul. And Rick Perry is only at 17%. A big difference between 74% and 17%. The next closest to Rick Perry is 10% away, actually 13% away, and that is Michelle Bachmann. And Mitt Romney is further away yet. Mitt Romney is another 2% further away than she is. So, if indeed anybody out there is trying to tell you Ron Paul is not making a difference, Ron Paul is making a difference. If the mainstream media is trying to ignore him, well, it's kind of hard to ignore him when their very own polls show that Ron Paul is kicking butt. So, don't listen to what the mainstream says. They have their own agendas. Remember yesterday I played that clip where the mainstream was talking about how they actually and intentionally put candidates who they don't believe are going to win on the back burner? They do that intentionally. You remember the show. If you don't, go back and watch yesterday's show. Check it out. You know what? You can just go right to firstcontactradio.com, go to the daily news link, and you'll see the story there from yesterday that talked specifically about that, about holding Ron Paul back and other candidates. You can find the link, click on it. All right. Now, moving right along. We do seem to be having a financial issue in this country. They just did had a big debt ceiling debate that went on for some time, and shortly after the big debate about the money and how money was going to be saved, because he is such a person in touch with what's going on in the country, he immediately whisked off to Martha's Vineyard where he spent $50,000 a week to stay there with his family on vacation. Kind of thing you do when there's a budget issue. Now, check this out. They've got new buses. $2.2 million for Secret Service's new armored buses. This is so Obama can go out on the road and he can talk to people. To talk to people and campaign for his upcoming election because, hey, he's done such a great job. We want to make sure that this guy gets put in jail, right? All right. The Secret Service has revealed Talking Points memo that government has purchased 2 armored buses for use by President Barack Hussein Osama and the Republican candidates in the 2012 presidential election and beyond. The agency initially declined to tell TPM whom the buses were bought from, but based on some research of federal databases, it looked to me like the seller was Hemphill Brothers Coaches of Whites Creek, Tennessee. Last July, the service signed a contract for nearly $2.2 million, and the firm, according to a federal procurement database, the contract you found is the contract. Secret Service spokesman Ed Donovan said Thursday morning, it's 2 buses for $1.1 million each. We've been overdue for having this asset in our protective fleet for some time, Donovan said. We've been protecting presidential candidates and vice president candidates all the way back to the 80s using buses during bus tours. In the past, the service leased buses and then tried to fit them with extra security gear, but that can't provide the assurance of starting from scratch. So they've started from scratch, and they went out, and shortly after they determined that the budget problems were going on in this country, the best thing that they could do was for Obama to take a $50,000 vacation and then to spend $2.2 million on buses. You sure that man has his priorities straight? I know he doesn't. We all know the story. This guy is just tearing the country apart. He's not even an American citizen. And there are those drones out there who are going to keep walking around paying their allegiance to Obama, who is not even eligible to be the president. When you really find out what he has done to tear this country apart, when all is said and done, I hope those of you who voted for him have an opportunity to sit back and reconsider your thoughts and reconsider how it is that you were duped by somebody that got into the office when they shouldn't even have been there. You don't have anyone to blame but yourselves. Anyone who voted for him or any other corrupt president, you have no one to blame but yourselves. So pay more attention next time. Vote wisely. Don't be stupid with your votes. Now, I want to bring your attention to this article here. It says Project Bluebeam imminent. Michio Kaku hyping alien invasion as corporate media says alien threat would help global governance. Update. A new video from CNN has been released that openly admits that the alien invasion would be fake. Are we being set up for a Project Bluebeam style false flag? Dr. Michio Kaku, renowned physicist, author, and apparent mouthpiece for the scientific dictatorship that is the NWO, talks on the corporate media about the likelihood of an alien invasion. Project Bluebeam is a very controversial subject and concerns the government carrying out fake alien invasion to forward the agenda of creating their much sought-after one-world government. What better way to make people surrender their last of rights and freedoms than to be presented with an unbeatable enemy from another world? And then you have video here of Michio talking. Now, I'm not going to play these for you. I've played these things in the past for you. Michio Kaku, well, he's a smart guy. Pretty darn smart. But he's saying some really idiotic things out there. You see, there's a real agenda, as you're hearing here, that getting you to believe that aliens, beings from other worlds, just by the very nature that they're from another world and not from this earth, are dangerous and are here to get the people. It's not the case, my friends. It's not the case. You see, They want you to believe that you are being attacked by aliens so that they can impose their one world order, because then the government will step up and say that they know what's going on. They know how to fix the solution. No, they don't. They can't fix the solution. These alien craft, fly circles around the craft down here on Earth. They can't fix the problem down here. The only problem is they want to be aggressive with the UFOs. They want to shoot at them. They shouldn't be shooting at them. There are beings up there that want to help humankind down here on planet Earth. The ones who are in trouble with them are the ones who are causing the trouble that we are aware of right now. They have the same issues with the same ones we have issues with. So don't get caught up in believing the lies, because the ones that are telling you the lies are the ones who are afraid that the aliens are going to come get them, which they probably will, because they're the ones causing the trouble. What do we say on this show? Don't shoot at the aliens. They just might be here to help you. Now, got another story here. Another day, another child molested by TSA. It is becoming the new normal. TSA goons putting their hands on small children. Is it possible the government really thinks the kid in the video below is with Al-Qaeda? That he might have a bomb stashed in his drawers? Gate rape is not about bombs or national security. It's about domination. It's about exercising control. It's about sending you a message. The Fourth Amendment is dead and you have no expectation of privacy. It's about acclimating you to the presence of Gestapo goons in the airport and on the bus and platform today at the mall and on the corner of your neighborhood tomorrow. The following video was taken in Austin, Texas on August 14th. Let's look at this. Yeah, a little kid in Spider-Man outfit. And there he is, searching down the kids. Searching down the kid. How crappy is that? And oh, they got to double check the shoes just in case. Alright, and off the kid goes. No complaints, no nothing there. Again, I have another phrase on this show I like to say. It may not be very popular, but I don't really care. If you're a TSA agent out there and you are touching kids inappropriately, you should drop dead on the spot. We could only be so lucky to have scumbags like you off this planet, because you're causing problems. You're causing trauma to children, and there is nothing more problematic and troublesome than to know that another person, especially an adult, is causing such traumatic problems. So to all you pedophiles that are hired by the TSA, drop dead. Drop dead for touching kids inappropriately. We don't need you anymore. Go to hell, because that's obviously where you belong. And our last story right here is about Rupert Murdoch. It says here, Rupert Murdoch, James Murdoch, and the former editor Andy Coulson are all facing embarrassing new allegations of dishonesty and cover-up after the publication of an explosive letter written by the News of the World disgraced royal correspondent Clive Goodman. In a letter which was written 4 years ago but published only on Tuesday, Goodman claims that phone hacking was widely discussed at editorial meetings at his paper until Coulson himself banned further references to it. That Coulson offered to let him keep his job if he agreed not to implicate the paper in hacking when it came out in the court, and that his own hacking was carried out with the full knowledge and support of other senior journalists whom he named. The claims are acutely troubling for the Prime Minister David Cameron, who hired Coulson and his media advisor on the basis that they knew nothing about the phone hacking, and they confront Rupert and James Murdoch with the humiliating prospect of being recalled to Parliament to justify the evidence which they gave last month, month after Goodman's allegations in a separate letter. One of Murdoch's own law firms claims that parts of the evidence were variously hard to credit, self-serving, inaccurate, and misleading. So, wait a minute. Is it possible Rupert Murdoch and his son lied? No. How could that be? They seem like such honest gentlemen. I mean, I watched part of that parliamentary questioning they went under, and just looking at them and the way that their body language was told me that these were two honest people. I can't believe that they were lying. Oh no. Really? Not them. Okay, now I'm being sarcastic. I hope you understand. Come on. They've been lying for a long time. You could tell when a person lies, can't you? I know I can. I know other people that can. I'm sure you can too. If you really pay attention, you know when someone's lying. These guys at Fox, they're lying over and over and over again. And until people stand up, they're going to keep lying. All right. Now that we've gotten through all of that, let's jump on to our last bit of information for today, which is spiritual information. That's right. This is where we're going to take, and we're going to start off by imagining right now that you're going to take all the troubles of the world, all the challenges that are facing you in your life right now, gather them together, collect them together, use your arms like you're collecting garbage, gather them together in a big, pick them up in your arms and throw them out into a trash. See yourself throwing them into the trash. And now take a match, light that match, throw it in there, and watch all those troubles go up in smoke. Watch all those troubles disappear. And as they do, notice how you feel lighter. Notice how you feel happier. And as you walk down the path of life, notice how life seems smoother without all the problems and the challenges. And you know that it is very easy to let go. So as you watch this fire and all your troubles and challenges burning away, send love to them. So all the challenges get transformed into love as they make their way out into the cosmos. And then when they get returned energetically and recycled back down, they'll be recycled as love instead of problems. Now, imagine all your chakras are turned on at this point. Very important. Starting at the bottom of your spine, imagine this red color at the bottom of your spine. It's drawing the energy from the earth. And then raise the energy from the bottom of your spine up to the chakra above it, which is orange. That's right at the belly button area. From there, raise the energy up to the chakra above it. Imagine the color yellow, just below your rib cage. And then raise the energy up to your heart space. Imagine the color green. From there, raise the energy up to the next chakra, which is at your throat. Imagine the color blue. Raise the energy up to the third eye, just above the nose, right between the two eyes. Imagine the color violet. And then finally to the top of your head, the crown chakra, imagine the color indigo and see the light continuing upward, turning bright white, connecting above. And there you are, a child of the cosmos and of the earth, connected above and below. Feel the energy floating through your body, this multicolored energy from all of your chakras. Allow it to overflow, fill up your entire body, and as it overflows and you see the line of light around you, this is your spiritual armor that is available for your protection. Practice turning this on. Now, let's imagine sending love out all around the world. Let's think good thoughts for the people in the world. Let's wish everybody a good day today. Let's wish everybody around the planet a good day. Love and light to all, my friends, even your enemies. Even the enemies, for the love will help to transform their hearts from the problems and the hatred and into love and compassion. Now, as we're thinking good thoughts for everyone around the world, wishing everybody a good day and sending love all around, let's bring our energy and attention back to the present moment, and we'll do so on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. And that is it, my friends. That's the end of another show, another meditation. Shake your arms out, shake your legs. Wake yourself up and go out there and have yourself an awesome day today. You know, there's a lot of challenges in the world. There's always going to be challenges. There's a lot of people down here. A lot of beings down here on this planet trying to make things work. Can't help to have challenges. But when we put our minds together, we can overcome these challenges and the world becomes a different place. Because instead of problems continuing to build, solutions come in to find a way through those problems. And life becomes easier. So as you go through life today, my friends, think of ways that you can be a solution. And if we all become a solution, we'll get rid of all our problems. For Dirk Bradshaw, my name's Josh Poet. It's been a pleasure as always. I'll be back tomorrow with more news and information, First Contact Radio style. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.